At approximately 1 p.m. this afternoon, the Indian Army issued a statement, and I quote, "During de-escalation process in the Galwan Valley, a violent face-off took place last night with casualties. The loss of lives on the Indian side includes an officer and 2 soldiers." The statement was modified about half an hour later to include and say casualties on both sides. Since then, there has been tension on the Indo-China border, but there's been no statement so far from the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of External Affairs, or the Army so far. Now, we don't want to speculate at Mirror Now. We're only going to bring to you what we know and the background of this latest tension between India and China, in which two soldiers and 1 commanding officer have been martyred. Joining us this evening, Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, Rajat Pandit, Defense Editor at the Times of India, and Mirror Now's Managing Editor, Vinay Tiwari. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us. It's a crucial time for Indo-China relations, especially now that there has been bloodshed at the border after all these years. Now, Rajat Pandit, if I can start off with you, what are the details of what happened? What do we know so far?
Fully clear as of now. But the Indian casualties are certainly more than the 3 which were confirmed earlier. See, many were grievously injured in the clash which happened near Patrolling Point 14 in the Galwan Valley region. And it lasted, the clash. There was total confusion, soldiers chasing each other, hitting each other, attacking each other. It carried on till midnight, almost midnight on Monday. So the situation, like you said, both the Defense Ministry and the External Affairs Ministry are yet to come out with an official statement. But the Indian casualties, we don't know about the casualties on the Chinese side, but the Indian casualties are certainly more than 3. The situation probably will get clearer later in the day.
Well, that certainly is worrying if the casualties are expected to increase. But, Mr. Pandit, should we expect a statement from the Army, the MEA, MOD? Right now, there's been that one solitary statement from the Army which they modify slightly later, but since then there's been radio silence.
Yeah, probably another hour or so, they will come out with an official statement. The meetings in South Block were still going on. Plus, the rival major generals at Patrolling Point 14 were also cool down tempers. So, it will be a consolidated statement, at least we hope so. When they issue it, probably in another half an hour, 1 hour.
Well, we'll keep a close eye on that and watch out for that statement. Mr. Pandit, just finally, I know you have to go, but just from the information that you have gathered so far, did China cross the line of actual control?
No, China had, according to my information, China had crossed the line of actual control in at least 4 points in eastern Ladakh early last month. So that is why the face-offs at Pangong So and the 3 patrolling points in the Galwan Valley and the Gogra Hot Springs area were there since then. What happened yesterday probably was, like the Army Chief himself announced, there was some disengagement happening. Apart from Pangong So, where the deadlock continues, some disengagement, phased disengagement was happening in the Galwan and Hot Springs area. According to my information, the Army Colonel, the commanding officer of the 16th Bihar Regiment, with some soldiers, was monitoring the pullback of the People's Liberation Army from that particular point, the patrolling point 14 in the Galwan Valley region. That is when something happened. Some Chinese troops suddenly attacked them. And when the Indian soldiers in the rear saw the colonel being attacked, they also came forward. Both sides, there was a complete, it was a free-for-all clash with soldiers armed with iron rods and stones. So the army still says not a single shot was fired. But it was an extremely violent clash which went on for hours right till the midnight. And probably the situation will be clearer when the External Affairs Ministry and the Defense Ministry come out with a statement in another hour or so.
Rajat Pandit, thank you so much for all those updates. I really appreciate it. There is going to be a statement, as Mr. Pandit was telling us shortly. We'll closely track that. Sushant Sareen, good evening to you. Thank you so much for waiting patiently. Now, a lot of people are wondering what has triggered this. Why is there suddenly so much tension between India and China? It's been brewing for a while, and we'll get to that on what Rajat Pandit was talking about, the events that were happening in May. But for the benefit of all our viewers, tell us the genesis of this, because this is rooted in the construction that the Indian Army is undertaking along the LAC, specifically the DSDBO road.
Look, since you don't speculate, I will not. And frankly, to answer your question would be to engage in speculation. The fact of the matter remains that all these assessments which people are making, why suddenly things are coming to a head, are basically speculative. What we know is that the Chinese have been moving troops very close to the line of control. They have been moving troops in a very provocative manner, not just along the line of actual control in Ladakh sector, but also in the middle and the eastern sector. We know that. We know that there have been 3-4 points of face-off. Now, whether that is because of the road, Karakoram Pass, how it's very close to the Karakoram Pass and all of that, that might well be true, but there is no way.
Right, Mr. Sareen, we seem to be having some audio trouble with you. We'll try and fix that. We'll try and come back to you as soon as we fix that. In fact, let me take that question over to Mirrornow's Managing Editor, Vinay Tiwari. Vinay, of course, we don't want to speculate, as Sushant was saying, but just as a background, these developments have been happening on ground along the LAC.
Yes, I mean, just before I answer that question, Aarti, one quick update. And that update is a little bit at variance with what Rajat was informing us. I think we are now being told that the statement is likely to get delayed. I mean, we were initially expecting the statement to come out as he was telling all our viewers in the next half an hour or so. But we are now being told that the statement might get a little delayed even further. That's not necessarily always good news. When you hear governments announce, or at least the sources tell you that the statements are getting delayed, it means only two things. Either there is more information trickling in, or the government wants to tailor it in a way that doesn't sound escalatory in nature. But yes, we are now being told by sources that it's going to get delayed. Yes, I mean, just to explain to our viewers, Sushant is right. We shouldn't speculate on this at all. Essentially, there was the first big skirmish that happened in the first week of May, on the 6th of May. In fact, that skirmish also led to a lot of injuries on both sides, and one of the Indian officers actually had to be airlifted and to be treated at the Delhi's base hospital. So that was a fairly bad skirmish, and it was only after that particular incident that there was formal process of de-escalation that was discussed between the two sides, and it was set in motion. In fact, the de-escalation process was being led by the army on both sides, which is a little unusual, and I leave the analysis of that to Sushant, but it is not common for the Indian army and the Chinese army to hold negotiations. I mean, usually these negotiations have happened either at the diplomatic level or the political level, but in this case, it was the army which was doing it. The Indian side was actually being led by a co-commander. The 14th Corps Commander, Lieutenant General Harinder Singh, was leading this operation, and the incident that happened yesterday was apparently the fallout of one such pullback that the Chinese PLA had agreed to. And that is what Rajat was referring to when he was saying that the colonel who was commanding his particular unit was overseeing this pullback. So this was actually whatever was happening yesterday was part of the process that was agreed upon between the two armies when the Lieutenant General of Indian Army met the Major General of the Chinese PLA. And obviously, what happened in that pullback exercise, we don't know. But it's very clear that it was sudden, it was provocative, and it was completely unplanned. It was something that nobody had foreseen coming, and I doubt it was something that could have been planned either. I mean, something went wrong on the spot, and obviously we have no benefit of insight of what exactly happened there. We can only conjecture on something having gone wrong, Aarti.
Right, now, Vinay, you were mentioning that this has been brewing since May. This isn't an incident that's happened in a complete vacuum. There has been a precedent to this from last month itself. But the political response about this, the government has been rather cagey. The government has been not very forthcoming about the details of these incidents either.
Yes, they haven't been. But look, there are two possible reasons for it. One, every time China and India have never really shared a very warm relationship. I mean, in fact, I would go to the extent of saying that Prime Minister Modi, who usually has shared a very warm relationship with most of the counterparts in the western side of the world, and that warmth has been on display. That's the same level of warmth you've never really seen in the two big summit meetings that have happened between the two Indian government and the Chinese government. I mean, they don't exactly haven't developed the kind of rapport you would expect, and that is historically how Chinese have always been. So in China, in any case, I mean, you wouldn't expect the government to be very forthright and open about the many reports of intrusions that have been coming in, or the reports of the Chinese PLA having made inroads in the Indian territory. One would have not expected regular updates, but yes, you are right that there has been a constant effort to slightly underplay it. In fact, in the middle, the government even issued a bit of a advance warning to tell people that there are lots of images and videos that are floating around on social media that should not be run or broadcast by any news platform, because they just seem to be giving a misleading impression of what the situation on the ground is. So the attempt has always been to slightly downplay it. The attempt has also been to keep it as quiet as possible and as under the radar as possible. Of course, routine statements like announcing the officers who would lead the Indian talks, or the time and the place where it happened, all of that was done. But aside of that, there was no real formal comment or anything detailed. So, but yes, now that this incident has happened, that definitely looks like the situation could have been possibly a little more hostile than what we would have been believing over the last couple of months or so, Aarti.
Well, there's been no word from the government so far, and according to what Vinay is telling us, so the information that he has gathered is that statement might be further delayed. Sushant Sareen is back with us. Mr. Sareen, I'm so sorry, we had a bad line with you. We still do, in fact, so we're getting you on the phone. You were telling us about the particular region and when you got cut, so please go ahead.
No, let me just take off from something which Vinay was talking about, because I think that is extremely important. I think the communication strategy of this government is still very 1970s. Just because, you keep quiet or you want to underplay it, in this day and age, that is just not possible anymore. There are multiple sources of information. People have information, there's an infodemic, as it's called nowadays. And frankly, I don't see what purpose is served by playing things so close to the chest, then everybody and their auntie knows what the hell is happening along the LAC, or at least have some, wishy-washy idea of what's happening. And then people form their perceptions on the basis of that. And when finally something really rotten happens, like has had happened last night, everything which you were trying to downplay comes back to bite you. So I don't know what the communication strategy of this government is. But coming back to this particular standoff, I think what we have to understand is that this has been building up, and not just over the last few months, but we've seen these kind of fisticuffs happen even in the past. Clearly, the protocols that were worked out in the past were breaking down, and an accident was waiting to happen. Now, whether what has happened last night happened as a result of some accident, happened as a result of a deliberate provocation, happened as part of a larger tactical kind of or strategic move from the Chinese side to provoke India into doing something and then, getting into a larger scrap, or just to show India down and make a point. that would be in the realm of speculation, but we don't exactly know. But something like this was bound to happen, given that protocols were being violated. And then for us to downplay it by saying that not a single shot was fired, if you have more than, you have casualties, God forbid there are more than 3, but that is what we are hearing right now, that casualty totals could go up to double figures. Then, frankly, whether shots were fired or not fired is immaterial. I think the damage is done. I think the peace and tranquility and all that other nonsense that we were constantly spouting, those mantras that we were spouting, are useless. And I think we really need to rethink what kind of a strategy we are going to follow with the Chinese. Are we going to continue with this stupid L1 kind of a thing where we give fat contracts to Chinese and yet lose territory or get our territory challenged along the borders? Will we continue to, for public sector units, to buy critical infrastructure from China so that they can hear whatever is happening out here? Will the Prime Minister and his ministers and the Chief Ministers speak on Zoom so that the Chinese can eavesdrop on virtually everything they're talking about? I think we really need to wake up and smell the coffee and get real about what China is, that it is a real threat. It is no friend. It doesn't want to be friends with India. It doesn't even want normal relations with India. And then we need to stop these, these slogans we keep mouthing about strategic autonomy and what have you. Let's smell the coffee and prepare ourselves accordingly.
Right. No, Mr. Sareen, you're absolutely right. Even though a shot has not been fired, there are still 3 of our men who've been martyred, and the silence is not helping at all. But, a lot of our viewers, there's so much of focus on the LOC that there's not much known about the LAC. Now, just for the benefit of our viewers, can you tell us the geostrategic importance of this particular area, the Galwan Valley, where all of this is unfolding?
No, the geostrategic area... See, the reason which is being speculated is that because we are building up that road, which goes right up till Daulat Beg Oldie, which is just a little short of the strategic Karakoram Pass. And the speculation is that the Karakoram Pass, if India is in a position to provision its troops, it has built this infrastructure along the LAC. If push comes to shove, India will be able to bring in troops rather quickly and can threaten the Karakoram Pass, which could then, have an impact on the largest, Chinese strategy in that particular area, which also means that their linking up with the Pakistan-occupied portion, which is Gilgit-Baltistan, could start getting threatened, which could then start threatening their China-Pakistan economic corridor. And on the Indian side, the fear is that, this is a route which can be used to provision troops in Siachen. So if this road gets threatened or there are problems which come in out here, then, some of our problems in the Siachen start mounting. So I think those are the real areas. It's not as though this particular area will lead to some kind of a gateway into Leh and the whole of Ladakh will lay open. I don't think it's that bad as of now. But clearly, there is a very important, aspect to the geographical region we are speaking about. Not so much perhaps in the Pangong Tso, where the real, there has been no compromise from the Chinese side in pulling back from where they have intruded. Although there is also a difference in the perception of the LAC. But in the Galwan area, there was never any debate earlier. Today, if you see the latest Chinese statement, they're claiming the whole of the Galwan Valley. The Galwan Valley was more or less split between India and China, but today they're claiming the whole of it. And I think that's problematic, which means that you are entering into a situation which is not going to be easy to diffuse going forward.
Vinay, just final word to you now. As Sushant was saying, the Chinese have never claimed this territory. It's unprecedented in that sense. But also, just the severity of this issue compared to India-China skirmishes in the past, it's not been there for decades and decades, and we've suddenly seen it spring its head.
Yes, and look, Sushant is the expert here, but I can tell you that a lot is changing between how China is getting perceived across the world, and consequently how Indian relationship with China is getting impacted as well. And actually, this India-China relationship is now far more vexed and complicated than possibly even the Pakistan relationship. Remember, it's virtually impossible, and I'm using the word virtually impossible with great thought. It's virtually impossible for Indian business and Chinese business to decouple itself so easily. The interests of China in India are just way too deep. The Indian corporates' involvement with Chinese corporates is way too deep, unlike, say, in Pakistan, where there is no real corporate involvement between Indians and the Pakistanis. But in China, there is. So it's difficult to decouple it. We've had difficulty in actually, kind of correcting the trade deficit that we have between the two countries, despite repeated efforts. Indians always maintained that China doesn't allow us the same leeway that they enjoy here. And now in the post-COVID world, there is a new world order that is also coming up, where more and more countries seem to be ganging up or ranging against China. Also remember, India has also started coming closer and closer to the United States, and the Chinese are not very happy about it. In fact, if you see historically, and as I said, Sushant is the expert, he'll possibly correct me if I'm wrong, that historically, whenever a country starts appearing to getting closer to the United States, China tends to get more and more hostile towards it. So it could well be linked to that. I'm just thinking aloud whether this is possibly one reason, but definitely for India to decouple itself and treat China exactly like the kind of enemy the way we treat Pakistan is not that easy. It's a little bit of a different situation, and that is what makes it a little more complicated and a little more worrying in how Indian government plays it out over the next few months or so, Aarti.
Well, it is complicated, it is worrying. We're still waiting word from the Indian government on what exactly happened, what the casualty figure is. As Sushant Sareen was telling us, the silence is not helping at all. But Vinay Tiwari, Sushant Sareen, unfortunately, we're completely out of time on this discussion. I really appreciate both of you sharing your insights and your views on this very complicated subject, and one that is becoming rather worrying. Thank you, gentlemen.